Hey ladies, this is Leslie Tavernier. I am a dark feminine love coach for dark feminine women who are digmatized by their dark masculine man. And I want to tell you, recently this week, I saw a post by another coach asking the women, are you tired? Are you done with being digmatized? Are you ready to move on and have a man that is pure and righteous, make love to you instead of this dark masculine man that's just ruining your life? And, I have a totally different take to that. I don't feel that you have to necessarily leave what you might be thinking is unsafe penis for safe penis. It's really not even about that. It's really about you and how you're perceiving him. And once you shift that, once you shift your perception, once you heal internally, then what you are perceiving as unsafe penis, as toxic penis is actually healing you and empowering you. And that's what I help you to understand so that you can actually have a healthy relationship with your dark masculine man, just like I do with my dark masculine man, who happens to be here with us today. And I'm going to ask him to introduce himself.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Hey, this is Carl Lee Stevens Jr., aka Rakim Sekou. I am a metaphysician and relationship and love coach. I am the co-owner of the Mystery School and Sekou Numerology, where at seikounumerology.com, help people understand themselves and compatibility with their partner.
Awesome. I love your intros. Your intros are always amazing. So I'm going to ask you a question. And before you answer the question, I'm going to actually read a quote from your book, The 9 Expressions of Love, which I strongly recommend that everyone read. It's available on Amazon. It's the most amazing book ever. If you want to actually understand masculine energy, feminine energy, and androgynous energy. But the question is, does being powerfully feminine mean that you get to be lazy and do nothing? So before you answer that, Rakim, I'm going to read the quote from your book so that people understand how you define feminine energy, because there's a lot of misunderstanding around that. When you look on Google for the definition, they just give a very generic definition, which is femininity or feminine energy is just, qualities that generally or over time we associate with women, qualities that pertain to women. So that's just a generic definition, but you have a metaphysical definition of what feminine energy is all about. And so I'm going to quote you here. You say feminine expressions and approaches to accomplishing tasks and goals in life are defined as anything that utilizes power as its primary means of achievement. Power is accumulated when energy is channeled inward and subsequently stored and circulated to be potentially utilized at a later time or for a specific purpose. The result of energy being stored is that it causes the object using it to be still and stand firm in its current position. Feminine energy means standing firm in one's current position, regardless of the push or pull of outside influences. Feminine energy is also expressed by following established paths and maintaining current cycles in order to reduce effort and accumulate power via momentum. This contradicts the narrative that feminine energy is about going with the flow, which is actually a state of androgyny. Although feminine expression follows established paths, it will not change directions to follow a less resistant or more efficient path, just like it won't attempt to challenge a more difficult path. So that's very metaphysical. And based on that definition, I would like your answer to the question, does being powerfully feminine mean that you get to be lazy and do nothing?
The answer to that question is obviously no. Being feminine is not less energy or less effort than being masculine. It's a different way to express how your energy flows. So, as I said in the definition, being feminine means your energy is channeled inward as opposed to outward. So, let me give you an example of what that means.
Yeah.
If I'm in my masculine, it means my energy is channeled outward. which means that I am targeting my physical efforts and my energy to the thing of my desire. You see what I'm saying? So, for example, if I'm in a party or in a club or a bar or whatever, and I see a woman I'm attracted to, then I utilize my masculine energy by moving from where I am to where she is.
Mm.
See what I'm saying? That's an outward, external expression of energy. On the other hand, at the same time that I am moving towards this woman to talk to her, she utilized feminine energy to bring me to her. How did she do that? Based on the definition, she did what? She channeled her energy inward. So she focused on what? Instead of coming to talk to me, she focused on how she was standing. She focused on making sure she was beautiful before she came to the club. She focused on making sure that she felt great about herself and that she put on the perfumes and that she was thinking positively about who she was as a woman and how things are going to turn out for her as a result of going out with her friends that night. So she focused her energy inward on her. The result of that is it's going to cause other people to notice her and be drawn to her. That's what attraction is. That's what feminine energy does. That's what it is. It brings things to you. It brings people to you. It brings favor to you. It brings, positive results to you. So that's what I mean by the definition. But those things take effort. So yes, to focus your energy inward means, yeah, you're doing things to make yourself feel good. You're doing things to make yourself more powerful, more empowered. That takes time and energy. Going to the spa takes time. Believing in yourself and countering negative thought patterns and negative beliefs takes time and energy. You see what I'm saying? Pouring into yourself takes time and energy. You know what I'm saying? Like looking beautiful and learning the essence of feminine energy and how to express it takes time and energy. So no, there's no such thing as I'm just going to sit around and not do anything or be lazy and still be able to be tapped into feminine energy. That's not how it works. This whole concept that basically femininity is nothing, that it takes no effort, that it takes no practice, that it takes no expertise, that it somehow is just laziness, is completely and totally, misplaced. And that's why a lot of these dating coaches don't know what they're talking about. They're trying to sell things to women that are not real. Anything that you acquire in this world, anything that you create for yourself is through your effort, even if it's all mental, even if you're just thinking and focusing on what you want. Even if you're just dreaming about what you want, there's still effort there. Because why? Other thoughts are coming in your head. You're thinking about the bills, or you thinking about where you were rejected the last relationship, or you thinking about how you lost your last relationship. Like you have to battle those thoughts. So women who are in their feminine and begin to master their feminine, what they're able to do is they're able to master what's happening in their mind, in their heart, with their energy. And that's where a lot of their work goes. They see themselves as beautiful women. They see themselves as worthy. They fight back the narratives that are pushing against those positive beliefs within themselves. And that takes work. And then walking inside of that takes work. Getting out of bed and believing in yourself and smiling in the mirror takes work. You don't always feel like doing that. You know what I'm saying? So honoring who you are as a feminine being, as a woman, pouring your energy and channeling your energy inward takes work. It takes energy, it takes effort. But yeah, it doesn't take external work in the same way that masculine energy does. I'm not telling you to go out and climb buildings and work in a construction site or whatever. You see what I'm saying? Like I'm not telling you to go do those external forceful things. I'm not telling you go up and approach every man that you're attracted to. I'm not telling you to get up and go after it and learn pickup lines and all these different things. No, you don't got to do that. But yeah, the work you need to do as a feminine woman who wants to attract and magnetize her life, it's still energy, it's still effort. And this whole concept of laziness is just crazy.
So the reason why I posed that question to you, Rakim, is because a lot of women, particularly online entrepreneurs, online coaches, um, they will, quit their job or, they will like decide to have an online business and they will also decide that they're going to be in their feminine and attract a lot of money through being in their feminine through their online business or whichever business they have. And, there's a lot of women who they think they're being in their feminine and they end up completely flat broke, like no money, bankrupt, evicted, homeless. And it's like, okay, wait a second here. I thought I was being feminine. How is it that I have absolutely no money? So can you talk about that, Rakim?
Well, a lot of the women who are online coaches or dating coaches or influencers or whatever they claim that they are, these are not women who are utilizing feminine energy to make money. Most of these women are using masculine energy. They're constantly selling you, constantly talking. They're constantly doing these things that are really masculine in nature. Sales is a masculine expression of energy. It's masculine. Negotiating and selling and convincing and all these things, being online, talking all day and all that kind of stuff. Like these are masculine expressions of energy. They're doing sales. They're doing marketing. These are all masculine expressions of energy. So these particular women, they're selling you feminine principles, but they're utilizing masculine techniques to sell them to you. In other words, they're using masculine energy to make their money. So that's number one. You need to understand that and be clear. Just because they're claiming that it's something doesn't mean that's what it actually is. Yeah. Okay. So again, you can see the external effort that these women are putting into getting you to come and buy their products and services. It's all masculine. Now there might be some feminine stuff in there, but really it's mostly masculine. So that's number one. Number two, if somebody ends up going broke or runs out of money, I mean, it may or may not be because of their misuse of feminine energy. First of all, they probably weren't using feminine energy correctly. Number two, they're probably misguided about, how to use it to make money. Most women have not been properly trained in using feminine energy to make money. So you can't go listen to a podcast or take a course by somebody, then go out and use feminine energy to make a bunch of money. And you haven't been doing that for the past 30, 40, 50 years. That's not how life works. You've been trained to utilize masculine energy all your life to make your money and make your living. And so it's going to take you time to learn how to integrate these feminine principles into your life so you can go out and make money that way. So anybody who quits their job to say, I'm going to make money in a feminine way, those are just people who didn't want to work anyway. But they also didn't get the right information and have the right practice to learn how to utilize feminine energy to make a living. The last thing I'll say on that is this. In many of those cases, those women were in their feminine. But what happened was when the resources came to them, they rejected them. So here's the thing about feminine energy that a lot of women don't understand. When you're in your power and you begin to attract resources and favor and opportunities, etc., it's going to come to you, but it's not always going to come to you in the package that you want. The only thing feminine energy promises is to attract to you what you desire. Therefore, it's going to bring you what you desire, but it doesn't promise to bring it in a way that you like or in a package that you want. It's just going to deliver the thing. So what happens is that, yeah, these women do get opportunities, or they do get men who offer to pay for things or whatever, but they reject it because, oh, the man's not somebody I'm attracted to or whatever. And this brings me to an important principle about femininity. One of the archetypes of the feminine principle in our tradition and in our mystery school is the lover archetype. She's similar to some of the other archetypes in other traditions. But she's known for being someone who's not selective. And as a matter of principle, she gets labeled as being like loose or promiscuous or those types of things, right? But they're misunderstanding her. Okay. What she's really doing is she's being open to receiving blessings. And she's not being judgmental about the packaging. And because she's not judgmental about the packaging, she gets these labels, these negative labels. Now, why is she not judgmental about the packaging? She's not judgmental about the packaging because she doesn't care about the packaging. She wanted the particular thing she desired. You see what I'm saying? So if it comes to her through person A or person B or through person C, she doesn't care because what's important to her is that which she desired to have, not the messenger. She doesn't care about the messenger. She loves the messenger. She honors all messengers. That's why one of her principles is acceptance. She accepts all people. She is cool with all people. She's non-judgmental because she understands that this is how blessings actually come. This is how fortune actually comes. It actually comes through all these different channels and all these different vehicles. And she's not gonna cut off her blessings just because it looks a particular certain way. She's like, no, I'll take that money. Yes, I'll take this help. Yes, I'll take this. She is a receptive, she's completely and totally receptive. And again, that's also feminine energy. The feminine receives. But if you're a woman and you're cutting off your blessings, you're cutting this off and that off, that's okay to do that. But remember, you're also cutting down and shutting down your feminine energy. So to answer your question about the women who end up going broke, some of them, I don't know these cases, but some of them are receiving support or offers of support, but they're turning those offers of support away, or they're not taking advantage of what's being offered to them.
Yeah, let's dive into that a bit more because I definitely understand what you're saying about the sacred whore, the lover archetype, just being open to all men in terms of romance and sex and all of that, and money too. But in terms of business, how do you see women um, judging or denying the resources that are coming towards them?
In terms of business,
Yeah, in terms of business, entrepreneurship, because you brought that up because I mentioned to you how, a lot, and it's men too, but women, they go into business and they think, okay, I'm just gonna be in ease and flow, and because that's what's being sold to a lot of women, ease and flow, and it just all comes to me and the money just comes and I just have all these clients, and that's not happening for a lot of women. And so where is it that they are misusing or underutilizing the energy of the lover archetype in business?
so here's the deal. When it comes to business, if you're a woman and you want to stay in your feminine and attract clients and attract money and all that kind of stuff, then you're going to have to receive and allow other people to handle the masculine aspects of the business. Remember, we all have masculine, feminine, and androgynous. So what that means essentially is that in order to be successful in business or life in general, you must apply all of those energies, right? Mm-hmm. So if you're a woman in business and you're insisting on staying in your feminine, then that means, oh, you've attracted somebody into your life to handle the masculine stuff. Mm. You can't be successful in business without the masculine archetypes. You have to sell. You have to market. You have to say something to somebody. You see what I'm saying? So those are masculine expressions. Business involves both feminine and masculine. It's not just one or the other. Even men who are successful in business, they're not just utilizing masculine energy. You talk to any of these, you read the autobiographies of these multimillionaires, will all tell you one consistent thing. And that consistent thing is that there was an element of luck in their success. What are they really saying when they say there was an element of luck? What they're really saying is that things happened to them in a positive light that were outside of what they predicted. What does that mean? That is attraction. They attracted favor. They attracted a contract. They attracted an opportunity that was not in their plans, not in their business plan, not in something that they were expecting to happen. That is feminine energy. And also, in addition to that, most of these men who are successful entrepreneurs, they all have a feminine element in their life. They all have women in their life. Bezos, Bill Gates, they all had the feminine principle in their life. So just because you don't see how that feminine principle is being used in their life doesn't mean it's not being used. It absolutely is. So again, any woman who believes I'm just going to use feminine energy to manifest my business, that's fine. But that means you're also receptive to the people who are offering to do the masculine tasks for you. You see what I'm saying? You have to be willing to allow that to happen. Again, there's a lot of narratives out there where it's like, oh, I'll just use masculine or I'll just use feminine to be successful or whatever. And that's just not true. We are comprised of all the energies.
Wow, that makes perfect sense. That makes total perfect sense. Switching gears here, so we're going to get more into the relationship aspect of this, like particularly the dark masculine and dark feminine, because you talked about being still and standing firm in your current position as opposed to going with the flow.
Yes.
So being still and standing firm. And there's so many things that come to my mind when I read that. But one is that a lot of women who are struggling with their dark masculine man, they suffer from anxiety, tremendous anxiety, anxious attachment. And anxiety, to my understanding, is not an energy where you are being still and standing firm in your position. Anxiety is like it's helter-skelter. You're all over the place. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yeah, I mean, anxiety is basically stress.
So would you say that that's a big part of the reason why so many women are not succeeding with their dark masculine man is because they don't know how to hold still, and instead their energy is just kind of scattered and all over the place?
Well, yeah, they don't believe in their power. So again, the reason why they're scattered all over the place is because they don't actually believe that they're going to have what they want with this man. Whenever they see a sign of him pulling away or whatever, then they go through this stress, this tension, this anxiety, and they start to not believe in themselves anymore or not believe in the process. Right. And that's a violation of the feminine. The feminine, she's like, I know this is all I see is success with him. You see what I'm saying? Like there's no other option or there's no other reality that she's going to accept other than what she wants with this man. Now, that also means that she's willing to, again, going back to the lover, the sacred whore, that also means she's willing to do what she needs to do to make it happen. But there's no other option for her life. And not only that, any woman who's in her power understands that being in her power means that what she wants is going to happen, ultimately. It might not happen at the time she wants it, or like I said, the packaging might not be exactly what she was expecting, but she understands that that's what it is. And why does she understand that? Because that's what feminine intuition and feminine understanding affords you. It affords you a knowing and clarity on who you are and what you're going to have in your life. And it allows you to see only that as a reality for you. And like I said, with the lover archetype, it allows you to be willing to do what's required to make it happen. It allows you to accept the support and the help that you need to be successful. It allows you to learn whatever you need to learn, and regardless of who the teacher is or the coach is, to be successful. That's why the feminine is so powerful. That's why she's so, receptive to her goals and dreams, is because she's willing to be what's required. She's willing to learn what's required. And so, yeah, the anxiety comes from you're not in your power. You're not understanding what's happening. You're reacting to every single thing happening in the external world, and it's causing you anxiety, and it's causing you to now think about the worst.
Yeah.
Think about the worst, you begin to manifest the worst.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to read you a quote from Christian D. Larson. He wrote a book called Mastery of Fate back in 1910. And I was just reading it today, and literally, as soon as I read it, I burst into tears. I literally burst into tears because I could feel the power behind the words. And I feel that it applies to what you're talking about. And here he says, in the midst of adversity, do not permit the negativity of the circumstances to impress your mind, but open your mind to be impressed by the great power that is hidden within the adversity. Our mind is not impressed by the misdirection of power, but by the power itself. Therefore, instead of being disturbed, you are made stronger. There is something of value to be gained from every disagreeable condition, because within every condition there is power, and there are always greater hidden possibilities than the surface indicates. So that touched me.
Absolutely.
Like that just, because so many women feel powerless. They feel like they are a victim of circumstances and there's nothing they can do. And I feel like the collective of humanity feels powerless with all these wars going on and all this craziness and the politics and all of that. Like so many people just feel powerless. They feel like they can't do anything. They can't change their circumstances. It just is what it is. And I feel this is what is just like, this is what has women feeling depressed and miserable and having these toxic relationships. It's not that the relationship is inherently toxic. It's not that the man itself himself is toxic. It's just like when you identify with powerlessness, then you can only create and perpetuate toxicity and misery and lack. Does that make sense to you, Rakim?
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, that's why the Kemetic people said, know thyself. Because if you don't know who you are, then you will live in a perpetual state of misery. You don't know that you're God, that you are a goddess on the planet, then that means you believe that you are a sinful being. It believe that you are not worthy. It means you believe you are not powerful, and therefore deserving of negative circumstances, and you not receiving the bounty of life. That's what that means. And so we happen to live in a time and a culture where just our spirituality comes way short of explaining who we are as human beings. We just live, it's just that time of ignorance that we live in right now. And so part of what we're teaching at the mystery school and our whole philosophy is, look, you are worthy. You are all gods, you are all goddesses, and you've been imbued with the inherent power to create your life. As a matter of fact, everything you are experiencing in life is your creation. You just don't know that because you've been taught that everything happens outside of you, and that everything outside of you is somehow completely and totally unconnected to what's happening inside of you, to how you think, to how you feel, to what you expect. And so that's what the issue is. So yeah, I mean, we're all going through that to some degree in this culture, because Western culture does not understand who human beings are. We're completely and totally cut off from our God power, our God consciousness, and therefore life becomes extremely difficult and lacks the rewards and the fulfillment that it should have.
When I was reading your quote earlier, before we started this our call, Another image that came to my mind was from one of the Matrix movies. I don't know which one, whether it was the first one or second one, because I haven't watched it in so long. It might have been the first one. And it was where uh agent, I forget what his name is. He was chasing after Neo, and he sent like thousands upon thousands of bullets towards him. And like there was no logical way for Neo to get away from him. There was no way for him to fight off all these bullets at once. And in that moment, what he did is he stood still. And in his stillness, the bullets stopped in midair and then just fell to the ground. Is that an expression of what you define as feminine power, Rakim Sekou?
I don't know if I would call that feminine power. I think that's more an androgynous expression.
Also,
The point of that movie is Neo was able to understand that he had power beyond what was being presented to him. So he was in the Matrix, and what Morpheus had told Neo was that, you know, when you see an agent, you're going to have to run. They're very strong, X, Y, and Z. Basically, that every time an agent comes in contact with a human being, they kill the human.
yeah.
So what happened in that moment is that Neo, you know, he had, before that happened, he had a death experience. So the symbolism is that he died to his,
Okay.
what he died to was his old self. So when
Oh,
he woken from that, and then Agent Smith tried to kill him and the other agents, you know, he realized that he was beyond what was being presented. And so that's more of an androgynous expression. When you understand the deeper aspects of life, of the environment that you exist in, and can therefore maneuver appropriately within that environment. So that's more androgyny than feminine energy, in my opinion.
okay. So androgyny is about the depth of understanding and wisdom.
Yes, being able to look behind the veil. So
Okay.
masculinity is taking things at face value.
Mhm.
Femininity is taking things based on how you feel, and
Mm.
androgyny is taking things based on the other possibilities and potentials that are out there.
Wow. I've never heard you explain it that way before. Okay, I'm sick.
Well, usually I only talk about that stuff.
Okay, inside your mystery school. Okay. The reason why I thought of it as feminine was, I listened to a lot of affirmations by um, Florence Scovel Shinn and Catherine Ponder. Now, Florence Scovel Shinn was around in the late 1800s, early 1900s, and she was a Christian metaphysician. And one of her affirmations that I listen to religiously is, I am undisturbed by appearances. I trust in God, and He now brings to me the desires of my heart. And so I interpret that as like, this is feminine. This is like, I am not being moved by the appearance. I don't care what the appearance is. My bank account is in the negative. I'm sick. I'm in the hospital. I'm not getting along with my child or whatever. Like that's the appearance. But when I read your quote about being still, like I took that to mean that like the appearance, no matter how fucked up it is, I am not being moved by it. Emotionally, I'm not being moved by the appearance. I am neutral. I'm still. And so I'm able to stand in my power, and the circumstance, the appearance has to bend to my will. Does that make sense to you, Raquel?
Yeah, absolutely. I would agree that that's a feminine perspective. So her standing still inside of what she knows to be true for her, or what her heart desires,
Mm.
and not being concerned about what's being presented to her externally. So that stillness, that's sitting in her knowing, that's sitting inside of what she wants for herself, that is absolutely an expression of feminine energy. The philosophy that she's expressing is androgynous. So the understanding that what I'm seeing in front of me is not indicative of the truth of my reality. That's androgynous, that understanding, because most people will believe what I'm seeing is 100% the truth of the situation.
Mm-hmm.
But people who have a deeper understanding of the way the world works understand that everything I'm looking at, there's more to it than what's being presented. There are layers upon layers upon layers that represent what I'm seeing. Most of those layers I'm not able to see or recognize. So that's an androgynous understanding. But yes, to stand firm in what she wants, to stand firm inside her knowing, is absolutely feminine.
Wow. A lot of people use the idea, or they sell the idea of going with the flow, being in the flow. And you say in your book that being in the flow is actually androgynous and it's not feminine. The feminine is being still. So, but most people think that being feminine means being in the flow. So can you break that down for us?
Yeah, so there is a little bit of confusion where that line is drawn when it
Mhm.
comes to being in the flow. So, for example, the way the feminine flows is that she's willing to move around the things that get in her way. So, for example, the lover archetype, which again maps to a lot of these feminine archetypes like Oshun and Heru and Aphrodite, she is depicted as a river. And
Mhm.
so we know that rivers flow, right? And so if I drop a boulder in the middle of a river, what does the river do? It goes around the boulder,
Mhm.
and it continues to flow. Why? Because it has a particular direction that it's looking to go in. It's got a particular place it's trying to get to. So from that standpoint, if you're talking about flow as I'm willing to go around these things that get in my way and continue on the path, then yes. But when people talk about the flow, they're usually saying, well, if the path takes me left, or somebody pops out and makes me go left, just go left. And then if it makes me turn around and go the direction I came, then go back that direction. And no, that's not the flow. That's not what we're talking about. That's not what feminine energy does. Feminine is saying, look, I'm going north, or I'm going east, and no matter what happens, I'm going that way. If it takes me all day to kind of, hit the ways to hit this rock and beat this rock down, I don't care if it takes me a million years. I'm going to keep wearing this rock down. And once the rock is worn down, I'm going to go in the same direction I'm trying to go. That's all there is to it. The androgynous is the one that's saying, look, I'm willing to follow the path that's going to take me to the solution. So when we talk about androgynous energy, we don't necessarily know what the solution is or how to get there. And so being able to flow to that is what real flow is, because it's allowing you to move towards, you know, what we call the path of least resistance. And the path of least resistance is actually the path that's going to take you to where you need to ultimately go or get to. What causes us resistance is our thoughts and our lack of belief and our lack of understanding, which causes us to stop. So before you brought up the whole idea about, these women having anxiety,
Mhm.
that's you're resisting the process. You said you wanted this man, and then, life throws something up at you, and it feels hard or looks whatever to you, and now you're rejecting the entire process. So that's a lack of flow. No, what the universe is saying is, look, I'm going to take you to where you want to be, which is to be with this man. But yeah, it's going to be ups and downs and arounds and rounds, and eventually we'll get there. But if you try to stop the path or stop the direction that we're going midway through, then you ruin the whole thing. And that's androgynous energy. Androgynous says, look, I know it's going to go this way, that way, whatever, but I know ultimately I'm going to get there. Why do I know I'm going to get there? Because I declare it to be so. Like Will Smith said on one of those, there's a famous clip of him, talking to being interviewed, and they're asking him the keys to success. And he said, you need to just decide on what you want. Make the choice, make the decision. Once you decide, then everything works out around you. But what happens is they either don't make a choice or kind of lightweight make a choice. But if they do make a choice, when things don't look the way they want to look, they veer off the path.
Yeah.
And again, it takes an androgynous energy and understanding to say, well, yeah, this is how life goes. Life's not a straight line all the time. It's going to go this way, that way, et cetera, et cetera. That's the androgynous energy. You see what I'm saying? So that's a little bit of a difference between the feminine flow, which is like, I'm not budging. The river goes east, I'm going east. If you drop a boulder, I'm going to keep hitting that boulder until it disintegrates into a pebble. I don't care if it takes 1,000,000 years. You see what I'm saying? Or I'm going to flow around it or do whatever, but I'm going east. And Androgynous says, well, if I got to go north, then west, then south, or whatever, I'm going to go that way because I know that's going to hit me to my solution. So those are different aspects of the flow.
Yeah, I mean, in regards to the anxiety that a lot of women, dark feminine women feel with the dark masculine man, and I see this, I've seen it so many times and I've experienced it myself, and I'm not experiencing it anymore, at least not nearly as much as I used to. And that's when, things are going well, and then all of a sudden he pulls away. No explanation, no nothing. Or all of a sudden he blocks her. Or all of a sudden, like some stupid shit happens and they get into this stupid ass argument. And she loses sight of her vision, which was I desire to be married to this man, or I desire to be in a life partnership with this man. She loses sight of that and she gets caught up in, oh my God, he blocked me, or oh my God, he ghosted me, or oh my God, he didn't return my call, he didn't respond to my text. And she goes into this, he doesn't love me. He doesn't want me. He's rejecting me. He's abandoning me. He doesn't give a fuck about me. And she just goes down that rabbit hole and she gets stuck there. And then she says, well, you know what? It's him. He's the problem. He's toxic. He's fucked up. And that's why I feel depressed. It's because of him, because he doesn't want to commit. And she doesn't even realize, like, you had this golden opportunity to transcend, to transmute your pattern, your programming of rejection and abandonment. And move beyond that to, I fucking know that this man loves me. There was an opportunity to increase your power exponentially, but you missed it. And you went back into depression and rage, and it's his fault, and he doesn't give a fuck. I don't know where I was going with this, but do you understand what I'm saying, Rakim?
Yeah, that's just people who are uncultivated, don't understand how the world works, and they blame other people. They sink into, negative emotion. And that's just, like I said, it's unfortunate that where we are in this day and time, we don't have an understanding of who we are as God and God as beings. Our current religion and spirituality does not accurately explain who we are. And so we react that way. People just react. They don't understand that they're the creators of their lives. And every time they see something that goes in a way they don't want to go, they react in a negative way. And it's just, it's unfortunate. But, for those people who are trying to, be inside their God and God is consciousness, this is the work. Eventually you get to a point where you understand how the world works and you're able to actually influence the outcomes in the world.
What would you say to women who feel that they are digmatized by their dark masculine man? How do they use that to empower themselves? I want to hear it in your words.
Well, digmatized, what that means is that you are giving your power over to somebody else. A lot of women who are with their dark masculine, these are women who are not sexually empowered. So they come to this man at a deficit. Come to this man not knowing who they are as sexual beings. They actually think that the pleasure they're getting from this particular man somehow is separate from who they are, and that he's the source of the pleasure, and that I could never manifest this with, numerous other partners. So like, first of all, you have women who just don't understand who they are. And, the point of them attracting the dark masculine in this case is to find their power, but they don't know that's the reason. They think they're just in love and they got to have this guy, they got to marry him and have his babies and stuff like that. But what's really being communicated to them is that, look, you just tap into your power because you think that pleasure comes from somebody else, or you think that, you just randomly got chosen by this guy, luckily got chosen. And, that's how you ended up with him. As opposed to knowing that, no, you're a powerful person. You can manifest pleasure. You can manifest great relationships. You can manifest great fulfillment from numerous different men. And that, it's really up to you. So these women who are digmatized, these are women who don't understand who they are. They believe that all the power is in the man, all the power is in his dick, and they just don't know what to do with themselves. And so they have to go on this journey where they get completely and totally drugged through the mud and completely and totally reduced to nothingness and degraded. You know what I'm saying? Until they're basically nothing, which goes back to the Neo example where they basically have to die, a spiritual type death. And then once they're at their lowest point possible, they'll have the opportunity to rise out of that, but rise based on their power. Because the man's not going to help them rise, right? They have to make the choice and decision that they are going to manifest and create the life that they want. But they can't do that initially because they don't believe in themselves. They believe that everything out in the outside world is separate from them and happening to them and at them. And until these women wake up to that, the chance of being digmatized is going to be high. And that, like I said, these are not sexually empowered women. So like they actually believe like, oh, this man has some dick that, 1,000 other men in my city don't have. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, that same dick and an even better dick is all around you. Probably like 5 or 6 men in your apartment building right now that can fuck you better than this guy did. But you think that, somehow this guy's super special, or you see what I'm saying? And so that's a level of ignorance. And again, women need to wake up from that if they want to be in control. So some of that is a sexual awakening. A lot of women, like I said, you don't know your sexual power, and you give it all away when you're with certain men or in certain relationships. And you can't do that. We see women do the same thing in religion. They give their salvation completely and totally over to the church or to the pastor. You know what I'm saying? And that's not what religion is about. Like, you can't hand your salvation over to somebody else. You're responsible for your salvation. Otherwise, what's the purpose of you being here? If you're not going to be an autonomous being who makes choices to live as God or live as goddess or honor whatever your God is or whatever, then what's the point of you being here? No, it's not the church's responsibility to save you. It's your responsibility to save you. So these are all examples of, the ways that, women, and again, men go through the exact same thing. The ways that women have opportunities to come into their goddess consciousness.
When you say these women are not sexual, okay, let me start the question again. I think that part of it is cultural conditioning as well. I hear what you're saying about not being sexually empowered, but our culture, teaches us that you should only be with one man. And so, most women, we're on the lookout for this one man that, hopefully we marry and stay with for the rest of our life. And so when we find somebody where the sex is just like friggin' like psychedelic, you then want him. Oh, I want him to be the one. I want to marry him. I want to experience this pleasure for the rest of my life. And the culture that I'm in says that monogamy is the only way. So do you see how that can fuck with women, Rakim?
Absolutely. I've always said the culture of monogamy, it really screws people up, because you know, you in your mind, you're thinking, okay, I got to get this one person, right? And he's got to be all the things, great sex, tall, and going to be a great husband, a great father. And he's got to, I want to have beautiful children and all these things. And he's got to be loyal and he's got to be educated. He's got to all these things. And so you're trying to find this one person who can check all the boxes. The stakes are so incredibly high. You know, that it's crazy. So you find somebody and they check a lot of the boxes or most of them or whatever. And now you're like fighting tooth and nail to keep this person.
Yes.
You just look crazy as hell out in these streets. You see what I'm saying? And it's like, that's the problem with monogamous culture, is saying you only get one. You know what I'm saying? And everybody's competing for this one. That's why these men that a lot of your clients that you talk to and talk about, like these men have like 15, 20 women apiece because they don't just check the boxes for you, but they check the boxes for these other women too. And they know that. And so they're like, why would I settle with just one woman when I've got 15 or 20 women who are trying to spend time with me and offer me all these things or whatever? I'm not saying it's right or wrong. It's not a judgment. I'm just saying, like, this is the dilemma that people with power find themselves in. If I'm attracting all these women to me, you see what I'm saying? Or I'm attracting all this attention, or I'm attracting all these contracts, or whatever it is. It's hard for people to be like, no, I'm not taking all this money, or I'm not taking all these contracts, or all these women, or all these men, or whatever. Like women have the same issue. Like a lot of women are attracting a lot of men, like men who want to marry them. Like with this narrative you see on social media, you would think that all women are having a hard time getting married. That's not true. A lot of women are like turning men down left and right. Like, no, I don't want to marry you. You see, and they go years just like basically turning men down. And part is because they don't want to be married, or they haven't found the one they want to be with, or whatever. But you know, that's just what it is. And so monogamous culture says, well, look, I don't want to choose to be with you, because if once I'm with you, you're the last person I'm going to be with for the next 70 years. And a lot of people, that's frightening and really crazy to a lot of folks. So the whole culture of monogamy is just crazy. It just creates a frenzy, like a feeding frenzy. And that's why you have women acting a fool. In addition to that, you've also got religion, which completely and totally guilt trips you as a woman for, you know, enjoying your sexuality or wanting to be sexual in any particular kind of way. And so that plays on women's minds. The pressure women get from other women, their mothers and grandmothers and aunts and all these, to get married and settle down and have kids. Like, when are you going to give me kids? Like, just so much pressure that women are under from our society and our culture and religion and all these things, and monogamous culture, that, yeah, it's very difficult. It's very hard. But what I'll say is this, I get it. Like, the culture we live in is not favorable, but it doesn't matter. Like, that's what life is. Life is like, look, some things are going to be easy for you and some things are going to be hard as hell, but you still have to go through the trials and tribulations and the effort to make it happen. Like, life is not about like just come in here and snap your fingers and everything just happens for you automatically. No, you have to put forth the effort, whether you want to do it in a masculine energy way or a feminine energy way, doesn't matter. Like, you have to put forth the effort. So it's not like it's a bad thing per se that the culture is making it so hard for women. You see what I'm saying? No, that's what life is supposed to be about. Want to achieve something. You want to overcome. You want to persevere. All we're saying is like, look, well, yeah, why don't you get the skills required to make that happen, instead of complaining about life and complaining about this or that? That's all we're saying.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. There was something else I was gonna say, but you're like mesmerizing, Raquel. Like, you make me forget what I was gonna say. I hate when you do. Oh, okay. I want to go back to what you were saying earlier about the sacred whore and business. And I'm gonna use an example of a client of mine. I won't name names. But so she, for a long time, has been having financial challenges in her business. And during a time period when her dark masculine man blocked her, she actually finally made the effort to go out on dates.
Okay.
And one of the first dates that she went on was with a very successful businessman. He had a huge network of clients. I think he even had two businesses. And he wanted to spend his money on her. And she did not go on a date with him after the first date because she said to me that he's fat and ugly and balding. And so she just dismissed him. And I was like this man, not only could he help you financially, but he has a network of people that he could introduce to you as potential clients to you. And you just like dismissed him. Like a resource came your way and you dismissed him because you said he's fat and ugly. So
Now,
just,
remember what I told you
Mhm.
about the feminine energy and how it attracts. But when you're in your feminine properly, you don't judge the package or the messenger. Remember I said that? So this is an example that I'm talking about, that a woman attracted a man that could probably set her up financially from a business standpoint for life. You see what I'm saying? Like with his network and his resources and his knowledge, like that could put her on the road to making millions of dollars for the rest of her life. But because she didn't like the messenger and the packaging, she rejected it. That's a woman who's not in her feminine. Because when you're in your feminine energy, you don't judge the packaging. Why? Because you are focused on the result. You want the bounty. You want the prosperity. You want the gifts. You want the fortune. Like women, you all tend to be very clear on things that you want. You see what I'm saying? Like you want to live the soft life and you want the money and the success and to feel good. And you see what I'm saying? But then when it's presented to you, you reject it because of the messenger. Or because of the person who's bringing it to you. And again, that's an example of a woman who's not in their feminine. Because when you're in your feminine, you automatically love and accept all things. That's a very powerful aspect of feminine energy, to love and accept all things. And that's required, right? Because for you to be a mother, you don't know what your baby is going to look like when it's born. You know what I'm saying? You don't know if it's going to have challenges or if it's going to have any kind of defects or whatever. So what's implanted inside the feminine is a universal love and acceptance of all things. You know what I'm saying? And so, but you have to be willing to apply that in other areas of your life. I think it's crazy, and we've all done this, so it's no judgment. But I think it's crazy to reject prosperity, to reject blessings when it's presented to you. Do you know how many people would love for that same man to come to them and say, "Look, I've got money and I've got contacts and an expansive network. I can support you." You see what I'm saying? Like, I mean, there's a lot of folks who would love even to hear those words or to meet that person. But when you're caught up, you don't understand that you are a god, that you are a goddess, that you attracted this to you. You see what I'm saying? And here's the thing I want you to understand. This is very important because what she really wants is her dark masculine.
Yes.
But
Yes.
but here's the thing that happened. You tell me, I want you to answer this question when I ask you. If she had taken that man's offer to help her with business, and let's say she started making a lot of money and she started like really getting rolling, do you think that would help or hurt her ability to connect with her man or have him more attracted to her?
Initially, it would be problematic because her dark masculine man does have issues with jealousy and he doesn't want her to be with any other man.
But
But
ultimately,
ultimately, yes.
he would all up. He would 100%. Like, and he wouldn't even care about the man. He would just see her because she wouldn't even be paying attention to him. So let me clarify this for your audience. A woman accepting, the offerings from this particular man, for example, or whatever messenger comes, I'm not saying date this guy or have sex with him. You see what I'm saying? I'm saying yeah, be nice to him. As a matter of fact, in most of these cases, I tell my clients, do not ever have sex with that guy. The guy who brought you the money and the contacts. You see what I'm saying? Until you understand what you're doing. So I would never tell a woman to, just because these men are coming to you and offering you things means you to have sex with them. No, it does not mean that. So get that out of your head right now. I'm not saying that. But here's the thing. She would accept the gifts and she would treat this man nicely and she would still go out and hang out with him. They would probably still have fun. You see what I'm saying? Like laugh, joke, like the whole thing. He would just love being in her energy.
Yes.
Because with a dark masculine, what that means is her power is increasing. She doesn't realize this, but her power is increasing, which means that people just want to be around you. They want to be in your field. They want to be in your vortex of energy. You see what I'm saying? So a lot of these men are happy just being in the same room with these women, or being on a date with these women, or walking into a restaurant with them. Like it increases and bumps their ego up so much. They just love it. So the women don't even have to have sex with these men. But what I'm saying is, her dark masculine would see the fact that she's living her life and that she's attracting things, and she's attracting wealth, and he would be more attracted to her. You know what I'm saying? Like, he would want her more. Why? Because she's inside her power. She's inside her confidence. The reason why a lot of these dark masculine men are not really, messing with these women on a consistent basis is because they're so fucking insecure. They lack so much confidence. You see what I'm saying? And so it's repulsive to a man, especially men who have a lot of women. It's like, I can't be around you because you're going to bring my energy down. Acting like that. Like, I can't be seen with you. I can't be in your energy too long. I don't want that rubbing off on me. Because you're basically a loser. You see what I'm saying? Like, I'm the only thing in your whole entire life that's a bright spot. You got to be kidding me. So, like, these men, they can't invest all the way with these women, even though they love them, they want to be with them, because they don't have anything else going on for themselves. That's why women should always date. Again, I'm not saying you got to go have sex with a bunch of men. I know, women have these super conservative views around sexuality, but you should at least be entertaining masculine energy, because that's the only way you actually gain any kind of respect. You have to display yourself as a confident person out in the world. That's what's attractive. Confidence is attractive. Security is attractive. You see what I'm saying? And it makes people want to be with you and around you. Outside of that, nobody's trying to hear it.
Yeah, I totally hear what you're saying about the masculine man feeling, the dark masculine man feeling the immense pressure when he knows he's the only bright spot in her life. The only time she's happy, the only time she's orgasmic is when she has access to him. And as soon as he removes himself from her, she just falls into a depression. That's not attractive. I totally get that, Rakim. But I also, this is why I also have my clients do the 6 sorceress pillars, because the pillars themselves are about, making your whole life beautiful. Not just when you're with him, but all the time, all areas of your life, your money, your health, your home, your emotional alchemy, the way you look, your network, your queendom, like all of your life. Like, and you should be putting your efforts towards your whole life feeling wonderful, and not just depending on your dark masculine man to feel wonderful. Like, you have to learn to feel wonderful with or without him.
Yes.
And that's the whole basis of the 6 sorceress pillars. When I only felt good when I had access to Rakem Seku, guess what? I got blocked all the fucking time for months at a time, because I totally believed that I could only feel good when I had access to him. So he kept blocking me. He kept ghosting me. He kept not wanting to have anything to do with me, because he was the only bright light in my life. Like, that's not attractive to Rakem Seku.
And nobody wants that responsibility. Nobody wants the responsibility of, I gotta be the only bright light in your life. Who wants to be that person? You know what I'm saying? I have to show up for you, otherwise you just deteriorate into nothing. Like, who wants to be that?
Nobody, nobody. I'm going to say one last thing in regards to the sacred whore archetype, which is it's the lover is not the same as the dark feminine. It's a different archetype, but it's important. And I want to, because I know you said a lot of these women, you know, you don't have to sleep with these men. They're just happy to be in your presence. But here's the thing, like when I get confused when I see feminine power coaches talking about how orgasmic they are and how sexual they are and sexually empowered they are. And at the same time, they're insisting that they are only sexually aroused and turned on and orgasmic with this one man, their husband, and that's it. To me, that doesn't make any sense. Whenever I have felt or invoked or been you know, just taken over by the sacred whore energy, all of the men are attractive to me. All of them. I don't care, fat, ugly, tall, short, young, old, whatever. They're all attractive when you're embodying the lover. She's not, the lover is not, there's no way she could just be attracted to just one man. Like that is impossible for the sacred whore. That is unfathomable. That only one person makes you orgasm, only one person turns you on, there's only one person that you want to have sex with. That doesn't make sense. But so many women are holding rigidly to that idea that only this man, only him, can make me orgasm, can make me feel sexual ecstasy. Only him, nobody else, nothing else, just him. That is not the lover. She's turned on by the fat, ugly man with millions of dollars. She's turned on by Donald Trump. She's turned on. She doesn't care what he looks like. And I know that's terrifying to him. What do you mean? I'm just supposed to be turned on by fat, ugly men? Yes, yes, yes. That is what the lover is. That's what she is. She's turned on by all the men and the women too. Had to get that out.
Like, how else can I support you? I mean, but you know, I mean,
here's the feminine is not. I agree with what you were saying at the beginning of this call. We're not even being taught what it actually is. We're being taught a percentage of what it is, and then we're saying, okay, I'm going to be that 5% of what the feminine is, and oh my God, how come my life is still falling apart? I'm doing the 5% of what I think the feminine is, but that's not what the feminine is. It's a sacred whore. One of the feminine archetypes. She's turned on by everything and everyone. End event. So yes, go ahead and have sex with a fat, ugly man. He might turn you out. You might be surprised what he can do. I told my client, let him eat your pussy. Let him eat your pussy. You don't have to fuck him. Just let him eat your pussy. You're going to love it. She couldn't understand what I was saying.
You know, one of the things that's interesting is, you know, I've been coaching women and men, but women for a long time. And you would be so, I mean, not you, because I know you understand, but you would be so surprised at all the ways that women experience sexual ecstasy, and from all the different varieties of men. Like, again, stereotypically, you think, oh, they just want this one kind of guy and his dick size is this or whatever. But no, like, what I know for sure, based on my experience and talking to clients over the years, is that sexual ecstasy comes in so many different shapes, sizes, and forms. Every single shape of man, height of man, etc. Like every single dick size, whatever. Like, women have had amazing sexual experiences with all types of men. You see what I'm saying? And women who are sexually empowered, like, they kind of freely indulge in that. Like they'll be with, certain men and not even have any intercourse, but that'll be like the best sex they've had in years. And then it'll be like a womb choice guy and he'll blow her back out for hours. You see what I'm saying? Then I'll be with somebody else and it'll just be oral or conversation. Like they're able to really get into the essence of what it means to be a feminine woman, which is to have this pleasure, this ecstasy from like every single angle possible. You see what I'm saying? Like instead of what women try to do, and again, I understand because the culture suppresses, women and their sexuality, but what women try to do is they try to get all that from one guy.
Yes.
And they want to do all these things with him. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yes.
dress up like this and let's do this and fuck me over here and then do this over here. And now, but really it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like your guy really, he does what he does. If you were open to other energy, other men, these other men will do all these other things too. Like, this other guy's going to fuck you in the back of the car, eat your pussy and your ass out. You know what I'm saying? Then this guy over here is going to, fly you to Vegas. And while you're on his private plane, he's going to fuck you. And you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, there's so many, the one thing about the feminine is she wants everything. That's a quality of feminine energy. Like she wants everything. She wants all the gifts, all the good times, all the pleasure, all the different things that's healthy feminine. And oftentimes women have been made to feel guilty about wanting so much. You know what I'm saying? But no, that's just healthy feminine energy. There's this commercial that me and Ken used to die laughing when we used to watch it. It's an AT&T commercial. And it's this guy, he's talking to all these like little kids in the classroom. And this one scene, he's like, well, he goes to the little girl and says, well, what do you think? She's like, well, we just want more and we want more and more. And Ken just said, that's exactly what the feminine is. And we would just be dying laughing, run this commercial back. But that's what the feminine is. Like she wants more and more and more, and she wants to experience all these different types of pleasure. Now, again, I'm not saying do it recklessly, but I'm saying like healthy feminine energy is a desire to do all these things. You see what I'm saying? And so, yeah, I agree with you that, the women who are saying, I only want this, like that's not even healthy. Now, again, if you only want to be with one man and commit to one man inside of a marriage, that's great. But it doesn't mean you only want him or you only desire him or you can only be orgasmic with him. There's 3 billion men on the planet, 4 billion men on the planet. There's no such thing as you only orgasmic with this one man. So you're not even really, it doesn't even make any sense to make those statements. You see what I'm saying? So I agree with you. I understand exactly where you're coming from. But where you're coming from is it's kind of like a higher level. The culture is way too punitive against women for women to be able to allow themselves to feel into that. You see what I'm saying? So that's just where we are.
So what I'm hearing you say is that like even if you want to be feminine in your business or primarily feminine in your business, like the resources and everything, like it's already there. It's already available to us as women. It's just that a lot of times we are judging it or we're resistant to it, or like you said, we don't like the packaging, but the resource is there.
Absolutely. You just said it. Your client, the guy said, I got money and resources and a network.
He's ready to spend it on her.
He gave it to her on a silver platter. But then like these same women will say, I can't, you know what I'm saying? I can't find this, I can't find that. You're rejecting it. You're rejecting, you know what I'm saying, what's being given to you. That's going to help you ultimately get what you want. So in that case, again, like I'm saying, like what the universe is saying is like, look, you need to get your money together and get your confidence together. That's going to help you get your dark masculine. So the universe gave that to her. But she said no. And now she's in the same exact place she's always been for the past X number of years with all these dark masculine, you know what I'm saying, not working out because you're not listening. You're not in your feminine. You're not following the path. So it's unfortunate, but yeah, that's what coaching's for.
Ooh. I'm going to share one more thing with you that I wanted to share. There's this YouTube channel that I used to binge on. and it's from China. Uh,
Nice.
it's this young Chinese woman. She's like, it looks like she's in her early 20s. She's living with her grandmother in rural China. And she's always doing, like, in every video, she's cooking things from scratch. She's out in the rice fields, she's in the forest foraging for mushrooms. She's sewing clothes, she's doing embroidery. Like, she's always working, she's always doing physical work in every single video. But to me, she was mesmerizing. I was mesmerized by her videos, like just watching her cook and gather rice and whatever. And like, just, it was just like, oh my God, she's so feminine. She's so feminine. But she was doing physical work in every single video. She was not just laying around in bed doing nothing. She was working hard, but ultra feminine. Does that make sense to you, Rakim?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, femininity is a state of being. So that even if you're chopping wood, you know what I'm saying? You're doing it with grace.
Yeah.
You're doing it with beauty and elegance. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, you can beat somebody's ass with
Yeah.
elegance. You know what I'm saying? Like,
And I've seen that. I don't know if you've ever seen the martial arts movie Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
yeah.
It has two Chinese women, and they're super they present themselves in the movie as super martial artists, but they still look feminine and they still feel feminine.
They're super graceful. These women are floating through the air. You see what I'm saying? Like, and the men are like trying to hit them real hard. They're just like sliding out the way. Like, it's just grace. Yeah. And that's the thing. Like, you can intertwine the feminine and masculine. You can be feminine in all things that you do. So even when you're doing a masculine thing, because you're in your feminine energy, it's flowing smoothly. You know what I'm saying? You're not stressed out. You're not tense about it because you're in your feminine. And it goes very easily. And again, part of that for me, I would say, is really androgynous energy.
Okay.
Androgyny allows you to be in a flow like that, where you're not even really, present in a way where you are getting stressed out. You're kind of in this different mindset. You see what I'm saying? Where you're existing in a different plane of existence that allows you to kind of flow through this activity. That's why they say, like, people who are experts at things aren't good teachers, is because they go into like this trance state when they're playing the piano or whatever, and they're not even like really here. So you ask them like, hey, can you show me what that was? Like, I don't remember what I did, to be honest.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's the difference between people who have that kind of talent, who like get into their androgynous mindset and they kind of like allow spirit to take over, versus somebody who has to be very technical. That's why teachers in schools aren't really good out in corporate or the field, because you can be technically sound at something, but the real life application of the thing is more nuanced than that. And it's not just being technically sound. You got to have some other energy and some nuance to be successful.
Absolutely. Oh, this was so amazing. I know we went way past the time, but I'm just so grateful to you, Rakem Sekou. Yeah, you're so wonderful. You're so wonderful to me. And I just love you so much. So thank you for being on my podcast, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. Peace and blessings.